today, first of all, happy Wednesday and welcome to today's session on how to do your own SEO strategy from scratch and for free. For those of you who are new to us, this event is hosted by WeWork Labs, WeWork's platform for startups and small businesses, and we provide mentoring, discounts, access to a global network, and professional development through virtual programs such as this one for free to all WeWork members. You can learn more about us at we.co/labs. And today we are thrilled to have with us again Andrew Lee Miller. Andrew is a startup marketing expert who over the past 15 years has driven 3 VC-backed startup exits and dozens of successfully funded startups. Andrew's specialty lies in helping companies scale efficiently in the early stages. He has taught and lectured around the world in over 15 countries, written for various magazines, and his first book is on the way right now, and I think he'll tell us more about that, the Startup Growth Book. A quick note on session logistics today. We'd like to encourage all of you to share any and all questions that might come up at any time through the Q&A function, and we will leave some time at the end of the session to answer all of your questions. All right, that's all from me. Andrew, the stage is all yours.
Awesome. Okay, let me see. I think you might need to give me sharing abilities. Let me see. No, I got it. Let me get this screen pulled up for everybody. Don't read my emails or anything. Trust me, you don't want to see that. Oops. A second. Thank you for that warm intro. Love hearing that. You know, even if you don't think you have an ego, when Stephanie introduces you, you'll love it. So, like Stephanie said, I've been doing startup marketing for a really long time, and today we're going to talk about SEO. And like Stephanie said, I have a new book coming out that I'm going to tell you about, which is actually the #1 new trending book for SEO on Amazon. So that adds to why you should listen to me. But I always start my presentations off like, why the hell would you want to listen to this guy in the first place? I've been doing this for a really long time, and I specifically work with early stage startups that don't have their own money to pay for expensive SEO agencies and things. So I've spent a lot of time figuring out how early stage businesses can grow without huge budgets. And that's what these talks are all about. That's what my book is all about. That's what my online courses are about. I saw some people coming in from different countries that may have seen me speak in a bunch of other places, but basically I drove 3 really fast early stage startup exits. And that led me into a consulting, coaching, public speaking career, helping more startup founders figure out how to grow their business when they don't have capital yet. And I've been teaching for 11 years, and all of that wrapped up into my new book, which is 10 chapters that walk you through exactly how to grow your business from PR, from influencer marketing, email marketing, and more. And I'll tell you about it at the end, but you can find more about the pre-launch on startupgrowthbook.com that if you support before September 14th, includes a lot of free help and free stuff from me. Now, I saw there's only 20 some people in there. So we've got a much smaller audience than last time, which is actually really good for you. Maybe not so good for me trying to promote my book, but I want to hear what your business is, what you're about. Tell me in the comments. And if you have any questions while I'm talking, just throw a comment in there. We're going to get through this pretty quick today. SEO is honestly a very detailed, complicated thing. So it's not my goal to give you every single detail right now because it would just be too much information to fit in an hour. But what I want you to walk away with is an understanding of what SEO is, what you need to get done for your business, and the steps to get there. And so we're going to have some time left over for questions. I'm sure there's going to be a lot. So anytime you think you want to interrupt, refrain and just type it in the chat there, and I will get to all the questions after. We're going to have a lot of time for Q&A. So I want to hear what your business is, what you do, and what stage your business is at, even if you don't have a question. And I will talk about it at the end about why SEO will matter or unique implications of doing SEO for your business. Now, before I even talk about SEO, if you were here last week, you can put me on mute or something right now, because I start all my talks with 2 major things that I want people to know about. One is how to think like a marketer. My next book will probably be all about this. But if you're the product focused person on your team, or you're the chief everything officer and you have a tech background, you might not really know how to do marketing and not how to think like a marketer. And that could actually cost you more than anything else. You need to be able to think like Andrew or think like a growth hacker when you approach marketing things. And the reason I say that is so many times I've worked with projects and founders that are like, oh, Andrew, you're an expert, but you don't know our industry. That won't work. And I say to that, have you tested it? Are you sure? Do you know for a fact that that won't work? Because if you don't just test it and see if it works or not, you might overlook an absolute hyper growth channel. So growth, so a couple concepts here quickly. One is growth happens by creating value for the right target. And over this conversation, you'll hear me say many, many times about value, value, value. And that's really the secret hack to life in general, not just marketing, but definitely marketing. But overall in life, if you focus on creating value for others, you get more value in return. And I won't go into a deep conversation on that, but that's definitely the secret hack for marketing. It's not how do we get more people? How do we get more people? It's how can we create more value for more people? And when you think like that, you're able to be really aggressive. How is our business creating more value? We're the best possible solution. We have the best possible price, whatever it is. You're trying to create more value and make sure that every message you do have, every email you send out, every marketing campaign has lots of value for the target, and then they will perceive it as such, and it will be so much more successful. Second thing is there's no such thing as spam if you're creating value. And that might not pertain to today's talk very much, because we're not talking about anything really outbound, but overall, you can't gamify SEO. You can't spam, put a bunch of keywords in the same color in the side of your website, anymore. But you can be really aggressive with your marketing if you know that you're really creating a lot of value. As long as you're targeted and as long as you've got value in what you're doing, then you should really try and be very aggressive and get out there and put yourself out there as much as possible. The other thing is there's no such thing as a stupid idea. I don't care what you think you know about your industry or whatever, you have to test every potential marketing channel to really find out the best possible solution. So test it. If it's working, do it more, track it with analytics, which leads me right into the next thing. Making sure that your tracking and stuff is in place, because you might, SEO doesn't cost money to do it yourself. Obviously there's a learning curve. I'm going to get you 50 to 75% of the way there today in 1 hour. And that's my hope. But it will take a tremendous amount of time investment to execute all of these things. That's why people go to agencies like mine. I own a company called Growth Experts with the Z.com. We're an agency in San Francisco that works with funded startups. And the reason why people pay so much for SEO help is because it takes a lot of time. Well, you need to be able to figure out what your time investment return is across all marketing. And so before we get into one specific channel today, you're the chief everything officer, you're the head of marketing, you're doing a lot of different things. You need to be able to track your time investment by channel, by what you're working on, and then see what through your analytics, what is bringing you the strongest ROTI. The reason I say that is SEO takes months to really see a result. If you're in a super non-competitive industry, you might do some SEO and get results in 30 days. That happens once in a while for us. But the more competitive and the more, short your key terms that you're focusing on are, the longer it's going to take to see a return. So it doesn't mean you stop doing SEO stuff, but if you're doing social media marketing and you're spreading your time evenly across all social media channels, and you're seeing all of your conversions and traffic come from one specific channel, then I want you to look at that and move your time around. A lot of founders I work with, they don't really care about where they're spending their time because they're so focused on once we get money, we're going to do this. Well, I want you to treat your time budget just like your money budget, because we're all early stage startups. We don't have a lot of money, so we protect it. We make sure that we're getting a return on our investment. But we actually have one thing in common with all the rich startups and billion-dollar companies and billionaires around the world. Still only 24 hours in a day, right? So we got to make sure that we're spending our time as evenly as or as effectively as we would our money. And that's what I want you to think about before we go into that. So if you're listening to this talk and you don't know what kind of organic traffic you're getting and you don't have tracking set up, stay on. Normally I'd be like, pause this video if it was a course or something, but stay on, but make sure you write a note. First thing first, get your tracking set up. Google Analytics is free. If you're a mobile app, you shouldn't even be on this call because this is about SEO. You don't need SEO if you're a mobile app. You need App Store optimization. You can DM me later and I'll help you with that. But for any website, you got to make sure that you've got good analytics in. And I don't just mean, oh yeah, Google Analytics is on our website. I don't check it regularly. I don't think I have goals set up. No, I want you to know where your conversions are coming from by channel and by source, by medium. Then you can look at your secondary dimensions and figure out what city people are coming from, what landing page they're looking at, what products and services, how long they're staying on, where their exit pages. You need to become obsessed with those metrics. And really, you should automate a report from Google Analytics sending you everyday updates. So even if you forget to look for the day, when instead of browsing Instagram and spending an hour a day looking at cooking videos, you should be looking over your analytics and be obsessed with the growth in those metrics. So, and for the sake of this call, obsessed with the growth in your organic traffic. Organic traffic, not to go off topic, but organic traffic will almost always be one of your highest quality traffic sources. So direct traffic is people who actually type in the name of your website. That's going to be your highest traffic source, usually because they know about your business, they heard about it through word of mouth, they met or saw or spoke with you. And then right below that is going to be traffic coming in from organic and from Google. And that's why SEO is so important. If you think about it, where does someone go when they really need a specific thing? Google. So if that thing is your business, then the chances of them converting is pretty freaking high, right? So that's why that's important. Now, this is what we're going to talk about today. First, I'm going to explain a little bit more about what is SEO. If you're way past that, bear with me. I'll try and go through that as quickly as possible. Then we're going to talk about the main parts of SEO, keyword research, getting a keyword density on your website, doing a technical analysis on your website, improving the page speed of your website, and then an off-page SEO with link building. So that's all we're going to cover today. Really excited. I'm seeing a lot of questions come in. Keep them coming. We're going to have time. And I'm going to go back over. I can pull a slide up with your question. Don't worry. We'll get back there. First, what is search engine optimization? For the people on here that are like, oh man, I don't know. I'm at square zero. That's why I wanted to include this. SEO is it's an art and it's a science of bringing your website up for relevant searches. Okay. That's the easiest way. Basically, what people don't realize is when they design your website with a web developer, that web developer is really only designing your website for human eyes. But there's a whole nother set of eyes that are not necessarily more important, but equally important. Google has algorithms and spiders, as we call them in the industry, that come over and crawl over your website and basically analyze and determine what your website is all about. Well, if you don't think about them in the first place, then you have to go through an SEO exercise with an agency like mine, or doing it yourself now after this call, to make the website obvious for Google about what it's related to. That's kind of the layman's term of it. You want Google to be your best friend because you want to rank for things that are relevant for your customers to find you at relevant times. So, there's a definition for you right there, but basically there's two parts to SEO. There's the stuff you do on your own website, which I am going to focus mostly on today because in my 15 plus years of experience, I found that that's about 75% of the puzzle and mostly not what agencies help you with. So I want you to focus on doing your own on-page SEO, and then off-page SEO is the things you do off of your own website to send signals to Google that you're a legitimate business, right? And we're going to talk about all the things that go into all those. But the bottom line is, if you don't do this, Google will not know what you're about. They'll have a very difficult time figuring it out, and they're probably not going to rank you. And that would suck because then you miss the highest quality traffic that we talked about. The first thing you got to do is figure out what keywords do we want our business to rank for. Now, that might seem like common sense to you, but you've got to do research, because if you just focus on the most competitive keywords, then you're not going to rank, because there's companies that have been doing SEO longer with more resources than yours. You're an early stage startup. So you want to find, different sets of focus keywords for different pages on your business. On your website. You want to find keywords that have a really strong blend of this formula. This is the first thing I want you to write down if you're taking notes. Let me see if I get this right while I'm on the spot, but you want high search traffic and low search competition. Think about that for a second. So, it's not just high search traffic. Otherwise, you just go for like one word and then you'll never show up. But you might go 2-3 words for a focus keyword because it's lower competition. So I put a couple tools in here that are free. Keywordtool.io. You can use Google Trends. You can see aggregate data of over time, what kind of keywords are trending, and you can change your analytics. There's many paid tools. Throughout this call, I'm going to be teaching you about free tools because I just don't like to pay for anything related to marketing, and I don't want you to waste money. But the idea is that you start hacking SEO for free, and as it starts showing promise, then you can start investing more money in it. That's how I want you to approach all marketing that you do. Now, once you've started with a brainstorm. So step one is really like creating a Google Doc and like, crowdsourcing from people in your company, early customers, friends and family. What are looking at competitors? Competitive research is really good because maybe your competitors have been doing SEO for a while. So you could also just go to Google, search for some things that you feel like your target customer would search for to want to find your business. And those companies that are coming up there in the top, 1 to 5 rankings on the first page, go and do an analysis of their keyword density, which I'm going to show you in a bit. But you can basically look at their site and see what keywords are coming up really high. All of this is going to inform you a keyword strategy. So like I said, we're going to go pretty fast, but this might take you about a week, right? So spend a week researching your competitors, your market, these tools that I mentioned, other keyword tools, and figure out what is going to be the best focus keyword based on, like I said, high search traffic, low search competition, but also high intent. You want high intent keywords. What does that mean? A high intent keyword is like, I'm searching for something that I'm ready to spend money on right now. That's my intent. It's not a research focused keyword. For instance, if you're like, let's say you're an OTA or a travel website like Expedia, you don't want any research related keywords, or you don't want keywords that make, that in the mind of the user, their trip is months in advance, right? So you want to think about book, the verb, like verbs in the keyword that show the user has intent. Book hotels now, rather than, hotels on the beach in Puerto Vallarta, where I live, by the way. But so think about high intent keywords. The closer you get to like a booking page or a transaction page or a product page, right? If you're an e-commerce business, your homepage is going to be pretty broad keywords over the overarching terms, like for the business. Let's say you're a candle company, or one of my companies, I have a coaching program that helps early stage startups, is a coffee community. She has accessories. It's coffeeconfessionals.com, by the way, but she has a community. She has accessories, candles, coffee blends. Each of those pages has a different keyword and a focus keyword because of the value that it brings to the user, right? So, but the website, the homepage is coffee community and broad terms because that's the homepage, right? Nobody that searches for your homepage of your business is immediately really ready to transact. But if they're searching for a specific product, you want them to land on that product's page so that they can check out. So put yourself in the shoes of the user, come up with those focus keywords for each page, and that's going to lead you to the next thing. And I haven't seen a question come through this entire time I've been talking about keyword research and the definition of SEO. So I must be a really, really good teacher. So I want to see more questions coming in there. So the next thing that you're going to want to work on is creating a keyword density. I know that term sounds weird, but this is not something that you want to hack. Keyword density means the percentage of all the text in your website that is related to that keyword, or that is that keyword. And what that means is, let's say, you have 100 words on your page, and 10% of them are related to that keyword focus, or that keyword that that's going to be really important for Google. That's one of the main signals. They can figure out what this business is about. So you want it to be densely populated, the text of your website to be densely populated with the keywords that you want to rank for. This is an ongoing exercise. This is now where you're going to take the text of your website, you're going to copy it, you're going to paste it in a Google Doc, and then you're going to rewrite it over and over again to increase the keyword density. But you don't want to go too far to where it's not readable anymore. What that means is I want it still to look okay to a regular user who's coming to the site. Now, if you work with an SEO expert like myself, we're going to push you. We're going to be like, let's push this keyword density to the max, because to me, for an early stage startup, it's really important that the site looks good in Google's eyes. I don't want to do any brand damage and make it look ridiculous, but you use this tool, smallseotools.com/keyword density checker, and you can over and over again paste that text that you write, and it'll spit out a keyword density report for you. And you'll see the top 1 word, 2 word, and 3 word phrases on your website. And you don't want to stop until the top ones are the keywords that you believe users are going to want. You want Google to know that you're about, and that users are going to be searching for that page. To give you an example and some more guidelines, you want about 600 to 700 words of text per page, maybe even more if you can, but that's a lot more than you think once you really paste it out. So if your website has less than 200 words text per page, you got to go and add a couple more paragraphs, even if it looks bad in the design. I mean, again, nothing brand damaging, but add a paragraph, add a 2 paragraphs, add what you have to, and make it keyword dense. This is how you're going to beat your competition. They're not going to do this. They're not going to know how to do this because they didn't come on this call. And all you have, I mean, like, this is literally if you just do this one thing, you will still eventually crush SEO, doing nothing else. I mean, obviously, some of the other things are really important for the on-page, but the off-page SEO stuff is really important. But even if you don't do any of that ongoing stuff and you just this week go, okay, we're going to add more text and make it keyword dense, you will still see your business grow for the next several years. Hopefully there's nobody that has an SEO agency on this call, but my company prides itself in being like an anti-SEO agency because the industry is quite amoral. They charge companies a lower rate, clients a low rate, and then they don't tell them that you can do like 75% of the work in 1 month. And then they string you along because every month you see your organic traffic going up just from doing this one thing. So SEO companies out there rip people off because they tell you it's a 12-month contract when they don't really do any more work after the first month. My company instead does everything in a month and hands it over and trains the team. And we think that's a lot better way to do business. But bottom line is, if you want to grow your business, more than anything else you do, increase the keyword density for the keywords you believe are important to your users and to Google to understand. That is step 2. Okay. And like I said, it's going to be an iterative process. You're going to be banging your head against the wall. You're probably going to text me or respond to my emails and stuff saying it's super hard to increase the keyword on the site and the density. And it is hard. Like I said, all of this takes a lot of time to get right, that there is no secret to getting it done overnight. But if you've already got a strong text to HTML ratio, that's what we call, that's why I said you have to have about 800 words of text on average. You can go, all the tools I'm suggesting you are my favorite free tools, but you can go to Google and just search text to HTML checker, and you can literally enter your website URL in and it'll tell you, you don't need to create any more text, or you need to add this much more text. Free tools galore all over the internet for SEO stuff. So after this, second thing, make sure you've got a right amount of text and that it's keyword dense. Ideally, you want, I mean, they say 1 to 3% for those top keywords density, but I shoot for 5 to 10% on one word. Like, let's say if you're that travel website, and 1 to 5% or 2 to 5% for those 2 and 3 word terms. Think of a 3-word term. I mean, the intent is going to be huge there. So you want to make sure that that's pretty dense for your users. So moving on, and I see some more questions coming in. That's great. I'm going to get back to that in a second. After you have fixed the keyword density of your website, you created new content, you've got a focus keyword for every main page of your site. Like, obviously your blog is going to be different than your product page, than your homepage and whatever. So you can have several different focus keywords, by the way, for your site. And as long as overarching, they're all kind of reaching together, and the overarching sentiment that Google's going to be able to automatically understand is this business is clearly related to candles or travel or whatever it is. The next thing you need to do after you've got that keyword density, like I said, you could stop after that and you would still see your organic traffic go up 10 to 30% a month doing nothing else, no matter what else you do with your site. But if you really want to kick it up a notch, you want to make sure that all of the technical things that Google doesn't like are gone from the site. And there's a lot of stuff there, but I've got this incredible website to recommend to you. I mean, I'm really shooting myself in the foot because this will get you, this site, SE Optimer, is totally free, and it will give you a PDF readout of everything that you need to do for your site on site to fix your SEO. It's truly incredible. And it's beautiful. It's very easy to understand. It gives you like A to F rating on your business on each segment. And I'm going to go through a couple of those things, but the main thing is fixing the technical stuff. It's a lot of design things like inline files. I don't know if you're not very technical like me. I mean, some of these things I'm going to say, I work with the developer. You need to work with the developer to implement this. If you are your own developer, amazing. You can literally run to SE Optimer. Open another tab right now where I'm talking. I'm not offended at all. You type in your URL, you'll see a readout of all the things that you can fix, and it'll probably make the biggest impact in 1 minute you could ever make for your business. But the idea is that you look at those technical things. I mean, it also gives you a keyword readout and the density readout, but you're already going to have that handled. So that's another thing. But the technical stuff, this will give you 3 to 5 things that you can fix to make your site look much better in Google's eyes. For instance, inline styles, using CSS, really heavy website. We're going to talk a little bit about page style, alt tagging your images. Everybody here goes to Google Images sometimes. Have you ever wondered how Google ranks those images? It's because the web developer of that site put a keyword dense tag on that image in the back end. That adds to the keyword density of the website. Believe it or not, Google spiders come down, they look at all the images on your website and what the images are. And if you don't put keyword dense names on those image files, then Google won't know what those images are. And you won't get any rankings or traffic coming from Google Images. So if you have unique images on your website related to your business, go in there, make them a keyword dense file name and tag on alt tag on all those images. This is just an example of one of the technical things that we help companies with when we do an SEO analysis. But you tag those images, not only will that help Google figure it out, but you'll also start to see you'll get a lot of traffic coming from Google Images. I know it's crazy, but good traffic too, because if someone is searching for beautiful silver and gold chains on Google Images and they like yours, they click on it, goes straight to that product page, and boom, they can purchase it. So it's amazing quality traffic. It's building links from Google, and it's also really good for sending a keyword dense signal to Google. So do that little technical analysis, figure out all those things, and work with a developer. If you don't have a web developer to implement it, DM me on Instagram, reach out to me. My team will help you out for really cheap as well. I mean, we'll probably try and upsell you to doing more SEO stuff, but the technical analysis, look through it. If you don't understand it, talk to someone who does, get those things fixed, and you really appreciate it. Next thing, and which is really part of the technical analysis, but it's so important that I wanted to make it its own slide, is the speed of your website. Think about it. Google's job, and the reason I talk about Google over all other search engines is really because every other search engine just follows Google. They have the most detailed algorithm. They are the hardest to get a ranking for. I had a client in my coaching program today that's a content site in the wellness media industry. And day one, they got first page ranking on Bing and Yahoo for, can't remember, mental health related articles. Whereas for Google, it takes months to even get noticed and indexed. So that's why I talk about Google so much, because if you get a good ranking on Google, Bing and Yahoo will follow, and it's like 8 to 10% of all of your total traffic. So page speed is really important, because think about Google's job. Google's job is to provide an incredible user experience to the searcher for whatever they search for. So they don't want to refer a slow website. They don't want to refer a website that doesn't look good on mobile. That's extremely important for SEO now. So the faster your website is, the higher you will rank on Google. Bet you didn't know that, but it's true. And so you want to make sure with that same developer or yourself, or reaching out to somebody to help you, you want to, Pingdom is a good one, Google Page Speed Insights. There's lots of other opportunity sites out there, but compare a couple different sites, look at the page speed, even the SE Optimer report that I just told you about, that will also tell you some ways that you can fix your page speed. But that's honestly one of the most important things that you can do for your website, because it's also really terrible as a user. If I come to a website, we're all the same. We want things in an instant, people, and we get less and less patient with what we see when we're browsing, especially on the phone. So if your website takes more than 2 or 3 seconds to load, you're going to see a 70 to 80% or even higher bounce rate. For those of you that don't know, that means the percentage of people that go away without doing anything on your website. That also sends a really bad signal to Google. They don't want to accidentally be referring people to a website that they bounce away on. So the higher your time on site, Google Analytics, who owns Google Analytics? Exactly. So they know everything that's happening on your website in real time. So they're not going to rank you if you have a low time on site. Your website takes forever to rank. People are leaving really quickly without doing anything. So those metrics really matter also to your user experience, but also for your SEO. So after you've done your keyword research, after you've rewritten the content of your website to be keyword dense, after you've gone through and made all those other technical changes, make sure that your website is super fast and the file sizes are small. You can use something called gzip compression. If you're a developer, you should know what that is. If not, you can Google it or ask your developer to use gzip compression. That will help. Wow, 25 questions. Cannot wait to get there. I'm going to keep it moving. Let me check time. We're great. Good. So we're going to go about 10 more minutes and then we'll get to questions. So not even 10 more minutes. So I've just been slamming through all this because I knew there's going to be a lot of questions, but let's assume you're 2-3 weeks into your SEO campaign. You've finalized the site. You've got the keyword density. The site is super fast. Now what? A lot of people say it's 50-50, but it's not. On your website is about 75% of what you can do for SEO. And that's coming as from data over my entire career, because sometimes clients don't want to work long-term on link building. This is the stuff that most agencies focus on because the other stuff is way too hard. So if you engage with a really cheap SEO agency, they're like, we'll go out and we'll create content. We'll build links for you. That's awesome. But if you haven't done the stuff on your website to show Google what you're about, it's completely worthless. So if there's a $500 Indian SEO agency, they're the cheapest option. It's not anything related to racism. It's real. They're going to mostly focus on this very low time investment link building strategy, whereas the stuff on your website is so important. But after you finish your own website, it's not like SEO is done. You need to build links to other reputable websites. Google looks at that as a signal that this is a legitimate company. This is something that is probably not spam because it's constantly getting referred via social media. It's constantly building links with other legitimate businesses. Now, I could go in hours and hours deep into a link building strategy, but all you really need to do is active marketing campaigns across. I'm going to get into it, but PR. Think about every time a Wall Street Journal or Forbes or something writes about your business, that's going to build a link from a very reputable site. Social media marketing. If you're active in social media, users and influencers and people with social media pages that have lasted for 10 years are going to be linking, commenting, liking, posting about your business. That sends a really, really strong signal to Google. By the way, all of this stuff, Google does not really publish anything about what is in their algorithm. This is all based on 10 years of hearsay and attending events where a Google algorithm expert will give like one little tiny nugget of info. It's crazy. If you really get deep into SEO, people hang on every single word of what Google says, but a lot of this is just based on my own experience, based on hearing other experts talk and testing it and seeing what works. There is no definitive truth because Google will not tell you, because then the other competitor companies, Yahoo and Bing, would do the same thing, right? So links are really important because it sends another signal to Google that you're important. So what are some links, right? You want links to your homepage, then you want links to your deep pages. You want your links to be, not just your own URL, but the links leading to you to be keyword dense. You want the posts on social media to be keyword dense. You want everything in that keyword strategy to be out there on the internet, in the articles you're writing about, in the press that you're getting. You want those keywords to be in there. And here are some easy ways to build links. This is why I don't think anyone should pay an agency or an external marketer to do link building for them. If you are active in social media, content marketing, PR, etc., you're going to build links. Think about it. Google has admitted that social media links are extremely important. That's one thing they did admit. The reason that is, I don't know if you guys are older as me and you remember Google Plus for a while, about 10 years ago or so, but even Google Plus links, they were the highest in value. So still, that's gone, but Google-owned properties are extremely strong links. So if you get links from YouTube videos that you make, or you go comment and you add your URL in the bottom of other relevant videos. Don't spam anybody, but if you're a travel business, and you comment on a travel video with a link to your business, that's a really good link back to your business. Links from .org websites, because Google recognizes that .org companies, .org nonprofit organizations are less scammy and less spammy. So if you get a link back from a .org or a .edu, like a university or an education institution, those links are higher quality because Google trusts those businesses more. There's ways to hack that. Think about a job ad. If you go and I work with a lot of interns for a lot of my startups, and in my coaching program, we get an intern full time for startups, and then I manage them. And in that program, we go and we post job ads at several different universities that we work with, and that builds .edu links back to that startup. Amazing link juice. Literally, it's called link juice in the industry. I swear to God, I know. So social media is great. Think about it, your content. If you go and you distribute your content in Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups, on a Medium blog, on LinkedIn, whatever it is, that's building a link from all those different sites with your content. If somebody else goes and shares that, even better. Like I said, if you do PR, incredible way to build links, because tons of sharing, but also you're getting a link from a really reputable news or organization. If you're a geo-local business or a small business in a certain local area in Brazil or South Africa, I saw a bunch of people there. All right, I'm finishing up. We got 30 questions. Then you can claim your business listings. Obviously, that's a Google-owned thing, right? Google My Business, great link to have. Craigslist, if you're in America, I know this sounds crazy, but you can make a post on Craigslist in 20, 30 different cities and get 20, 30 different links from a 25-year-old domain that's .org. So the older the domain, the better the page rank of that linking site, the better that link could be. Quora, Reddit, other Q&A sites, great links that you can build back in a few minutes to your site. So you can also work with other blogs and people in your industry to, hey, link back to us. There's so many ways to build links on your own, in your own organic marketing strategies. If you do all of that, you're going to have a tremendous SEO ranking. So it takes time. You got to focus on the on-page SEO first. Make your website as fast as possible. But really, if you just do nothing else after this call, but go back, copy all the text on your website, paste it into that small SEO tools site that I told you about. Stephanie's going to send you this video, by the way, so you'll get access to all this again. And you can always reach out to me for more help. But you really want to focus on that keyword density first. So start with that keyword research, get that keyword density, and then a lot of your other marketing things that you're doing are still going to build links. But if you do all of this, and you can go back every 3 to 6 months and see in your Google Search Console or your Google Analytics what keywords are bringing in the highest quality traffic, and you can go and make those keywords more dense on your site. So your strategy might change over time. Maybe you add new products, you pivot a little bit with your business, but be data driven. Let Google Analytics tell you what to do. Don't just go on a hunch. So that is pretty much everything in the talk, and we're going to get to the questions. What I just want you guys to do is, if you really like these lessons and you want 10 times more than this, it's a $20 book on Amazon. It's literally the #1 trending SEO book right now on Amazon. But I teach everything about influencer marketing, email marketing, app store optimization, social media marketing, so much more in the book. It's taken me 15 years to write it. I think you'll love it. And if you go to startupgrowthbook.com, from now until September 14th, I'm doing a bunch of deals. If you buy bulk copies of the book, you get like 75% off my consulting and coaching help, free access to all my courses, so much more. I think you'd really love it. All right. Awesome.
I'm still here.
There she is.
Sorry, I just had to find my unmute button to get back on. I loved your talk, Andrew. Great tips. I hope everyone enjoyed. And yes, as Andrew mentioned, the recording will be available to all Weaver Labs members. I dropped the link earlier along with some other links I would love for you guys to check out. And it was great having you, Andrew, on our virtual stage. I hope we'll have you back soon. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you so much. See you guys. Talk to you soon.
Bye.